Tonight, there's audio of Brett Kavanaugh from inside the courtroom that's extremely troubling. Let's jump into this wonderful explainer from CNN.
We do start at the Supreme Court and a monumental case that could transform federal elections for decades to come. Arguments are about to wrap up in the case over Louisiana's congressional map and whether the state can draw that map in such a way to ensure that minority voters are fairly represented. The two likely swing votes, Chief Justice John Roberts and Justice Brett Kavanaugh, appeared likely, just in the way they were talking and asking questions, to ban states from considering race when drawing district lines. Listen to Justice Kavanaugh in a key moment. He was questioning whether the country still needs that provision of the Voting Rights Act of 1965.
The issue, as you know, is that this court's cases in a variety of contexts have said that race-based remedies are permissible for a period of time, sometimes for a long period of time, decades, in some cases, but that they should not be indefinite and should have an endpoint. And what exactly do you think the endpoint should be, or how would we know for the intentional use of race to create districts?
Now, this ruling has the potential to undermine, if not completely overturn, a core provision of the Voting Rights Act intended to ensure Black voters have adequate representation. I'm joined by a terrific group of reporters right now, and David Chalian, I'm going to start with you, and I am going to start by showing our viewers the maps that we're talking about to Louisiana specific. There is the GOP drawn map, which has one majority Black district out of the 6 districts. It combines Baton Rouge and New Orleans into one, and that means that Shreveport, it would be a Republican seat. The current map is what you see on the right. There are 2 majority Black districts out of 6. And what you also need to know is approximately 1/3 of the population of the state of Louisiana is Black. So I want to talk about this, but also, as you do so well, why it matters for the entire country.
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we can stress the importance of this case enough. And I know there's always danger in reading the tea leaves of oral argument and where a decision will be here. But given that this has been a sort of a John Roberts hobby horse over the years, I think it's pretty safe to imagine where the court may end up here, which is sort of gutting these the portion of the Voting Rights Act that would impact this kind of congressional district drawing. It is not unreasonable, Dana, to say that Republicans may be able, in the South, where this has been applied, maybe gain 12 seats out of this whole redistricting process.
On that note, we have from the sources, the Fair Fight Action Black Voters Matter Fund, they think that Democrats could lose up to 19 seats.
Yeah, I mean, there are projections that are that high. So what you're talking about is, this doesn't necessarily mean to apply next year. It'll depend on when this ruling comes down from the court, because if it comes in June, primary season will have already begun. The idea of changing for 2026 would be tough. But for generations thereafter, I mean, this could be a permanent advantage for Republicans in building an enduring majority in the House of Representatives.
Right. I mean, there's so many critical angles to this, and the way that the House of Representatives would be different in terms of numbers, but also the way it would look in terms of race and representation would be very, very different. And Tia, David mentioned Chief Justice Roberts. If you go back to 2007, and one of the opinions that he wrote, he said, the way to stop discrimination on the basis of race is to stop discriminating based on race. I mean, that is a lovely thought.
It's a lovely thought, but how do you find evidence that states left to their own devices will actually do the right thing? Repeatedly, evidence shows that Black voters are being disenfranchised and not getting equal representation. For example, in Louisiana, 1/3 of voters are Black, and that wasn't reflected in governing bodies, particularly in Congress, until a second majority Black district was mandated. Arguing that legislators will voluntarily fix that doesn't square with the record.
Phil, just to kind of put this in the historical context that it should be put, 1965, the year of the Voting Rights Act, there were 6 black members of the House of Representatives, 0 from the South. Now, there are 59, 27 from the South. And before I bring you in on that note, I just want to listen to a little bit more of what happened in the Supreme Court this morning, which again, these arguments are still going on as we speak. Elena Kagan asked a representative who was arguing for the NAACP Legal Defense Fund what the impact would be to eliminate the Voting Rights Act provision that they're talking about.
I think the results would be pretty catastrophic. If we take Louisiana as one example, every congressional member who is black was elected from a VRA opportunity district. We only have the diversity that we see across the South, for example, because of litigation that forced the creation of opportunity districts under the Voting Rights Act.
Bill?
I think first to start with that point, you talk to Democrats who have been either working with members of the Congressional Black Caucus. There is a palpable fear that the CBC, which is an extraordinarily powerful and I think historically very relevant group of members in Congress, not just the Democratic caucus, the House writ large, that could be taken down by as much as a third if this ends up going in the direction that Brett Kavanaugh seems to hint that it's going. It's significant, it's transformative. It's also a couple of months after the 60th anniversary of the Voting Rights Act, but it's also not happening in isolation. And I mean that in two kind of critical areas. One, the kind of progression driven by the conservative legal movement of a project that has been years long, and they have been very, very forceful in their efforts to get to this point, to whittle away at this specific section of the Voting Rights Act over the course of several court cases over the course of several years. This would be kind of the ultimate culmination of that effort, but it's been an effort that has been ongoing, and obviously the conservative legal movement is more powerful and in more of a central role, obviously, with the 63 majority in the court than they've ever been. The other is kind of the cultural moment, the political moment that we're in writ large, where the pendulum has swung dramatically away from diversity, equity, inclusion issues, race issues in general. In terms of the Trump campaign, Republicans, I think culturally kind of mainstream, that has been the case. And it's all happening while President Trump is in the midst of a redistricting effort that is more overtly political and aggressively attempting to block Democrats than I think we've ever seen that's so public before. And this is all happening at the same time as this case is playing out. And I think it underscores the stakes here for a decision that seems likely at this point.
And this is, to your point, Catherine, this is a court that was put in place to meet the cultural shift that Donald Trump has been pushing in, because he got the opportunity to put 3 people on the court in the first term.
That's absolutely right. This is Donald Trump's Supreme Court in a lot of ways. He wanted a more conservative court. He really relished putting these justices in, and has been pretty vocal about what he has seen the court do since this court has come into place. And it's right that this happens also as he is very aggressively and openly trying to get states to redistrict ahead of the midterms. Our reporting shows that he is very fixated on the midterm elections because he knows what happens when you lose a midterm, and he doesn't want the investigations, the potential impeachments, the things like that could happen to him if Democrats take back control of the House. So he is really looking for any way to try and influence the midterm elections, and one of that is that he's been pushing Republican-led states very hard to try and re-audit districts to try and get more Republican seats.
Tonight, we're watching a legal debate about map lines in Louisiana. But it's the continuation of a decades-long battle over who actually gets to choose America's future. And we may be on the precipice of losing voting rights we've had for literally decades. If this court says race can't be considered when fixing discrimination, it could be materially more difficult to hold a majority in Congress for decades. And whether you're a Republican or a Democrat, or just someone who believes that actual voters should pick who their leaders are in this country and not the other way around, this moment is a red alert, because the next election map is being drawn right now. If you found this analysis helpful, hit the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I'll see you real soon.